Before 1904, a serious man did not wear a watch on his wrist. Timepieces belonged on a chain, tucked neatly into a waistcoat. At the time, wearing a watch on the arm was considered strictly feminine, a delicate piece of jewelry that would have made a gentleman look out of place. Then, a jeweler in Paris built a square watch for a friend. Within a few decades, the pocket watch began its retreat into history as the wristwatch transitioned from a feminine ornament to a pilot's necessity. Welcome back to Crown Patina, where every watch has a story. Today, we're looking at the aviator who prompted this change, answering whether this was actually the first wristwatch, and breaking down the engineering hidden in those famous exposed screws. This specific design acted as a cultural bridge, taking an object society viewed as an ornament and demonstrating its utility as a masculine tool. The friend in question was Alberto Santos-Dumont. He was a wealthy Brazilian living in Belle Époque, Paris, one of the most famous men on earth. He earned enormous public attention by designing and navigating early airships, often circling landmarks like the Eiffel Tower to the amazement of the crowds below. But early flight was dangerous and unstable. Timing a flight was critical for navigation, yet a pilot wrestling with the controls of a vibrating machine could not safely let go to fumble through a coat for a pocket watch. He shared this frustration with his friend, the designer Louis Cartier. Around 1904, Cartier delivered a bespoke solution, a flat, legible timepiece secured to a leather strap, allowing Santos-Dumont to check his time without releasing the yoke. For Cartier, the men's wristwatch began as a functional instrument, designed to solve a specific ergonomic problem in the cockpit. The design Cartier chose was highly unusual. Mechanical movements are circular, so watch cases had almost always been round. Cartier housed his inside a soft cornered square, a shape with no real precedent on a man's wrist. He then surrounded the dial with a metal bezel, secured by 8 visible screws. In early 20th century jewelry, exposing the functional fasteners of an object was generally considered unrefined. But Paris was fascinated by modern engineering. The Eiffel Tower had recently risen over the city, a monument that openly exposed its bolts and rivets. By leaving those 8 screws bare, Cartier matched that industrial language, creating a watch that looked more like an engineered machine than a piece of jewelry. You will often hear that the Cartier Santos was the very first wristwatch ever made. But if we look at the historical record, that isn't quite the case. This timeline shows that Abraham Louis Breguet built a wristwatch for the Queen of Naples in 1810, and Patek Philippe produced one in 1868. Wristwatches were an established category of women's jewelry decades before Cartier built one for his friend. The Santos's real claim is in the sky. It is the first purpose-built pilot's watch, constructed specifically for an aviator and used during some of the world's earliest powered flights. While the mass adoption of wristwatches was eventually driven by the demanding military needs of the First World War, the Santos remained a niche luxury until 1978, when Cartier relaunched it on an integrated bracelet. Cartier's achievement wasn't inventing the wristwatch. By placing one on a famous, masculine adventurer, he provided the proof that a man could wear a watch on his wrist and still be taken seriously. This exploded view reveals the challenge of housing a circular movement inside a square case. 8 functional screws lock the bezel and crystal to create a seal, protecting the caliber 1847 MC inside. The bracelet introduces quick-switch straps and tool-free SmartLink resizing. The Santos remains a staple because it continues to update its mechanical features while maintaining the core aesthetic Cartier established over a century ago. It is rare for a single object to help shift a long-standing social habit. This watch helped move timekeeping from the pocket to the wrist by making the transition look functional rather than decorative. What began as a favor between 2 friends in Paris helped establish a new standard for how men interacted with time. Does the Santos earn the title of the first pilot's watch, or is its role in changing masculine fashion the bigger story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this look at watch history, subscribe to Crown Patina for more. Until next time, keep winding.